Alright, I'm Airmath. This is Ninja Gaiden 2 for DOS. The NES version of this game is really popular. It's one of the best speedruns of all time. It's one of the most difficult speedruns of all time. The world record is very good. This is not that game. This is a different game. Without further ado, we'll get into it. Why is this so different from the NES version? Well, for one thing, it runs at a nice and crispy 10 frames per second. Which, well, I guess sometimes it runs slower than that, and sometimes it runs faster, but the frame rate is a little bit different from the NES version. The music is a lot worse, and the graphics are also a lot worse. Basically, it's just a lot worse. Also, you're orange in this version. In the NES version, you're blue. Yeah, we got the, that's like a subpixel dependent jump that sometimes you get on top of it, sometimes you don't. This game has some idiosyncrasies for sure. Oh, we missed the deboost. Anyway. There's a lot of things that distinguish this game from the NES version. Your sword hitbox in this game is enormous, but jumping over enemies like that is frame perfect. The enemy hitboxes are also gigantic. And we're going to take advantage of this fact here, or we're going to do some slashes on this guy that are just... his hitbox is huge. Alright, we're going to skip the cutscenes. The cutscenes have like a little bit of time where you can't skip them, which is actually kind of nice because it makes mashing to skip them a little bit less stressful. Alright. This stage is pretty easy, except jumping over all these guys is frame perfect, so... I mean, there's no real consequences if you don't jump over the guys, but you do lose some time, and we're going to try to jump over as many of the guys as we can. There's some visual cues that you can use to figure out when you're supposed to jump over the guys. Mostly I'm just looking at the background. We're going to jump slash that guy and we're through. Alright, this stage starts off with a frame perfect trick. We're going to try to jump over this gap. And we made it. And that saves a pretty significant amount of time. If you don't make it, you die. It doesn't lose all that much time to die there actually, but... Oh, we're going to lose the time that we would have saved. So normally we would be skipping this win cycle, but because we messed up, we have to wait for it. Alright, we're going to get this scroll. Just like in the NES version, the scrolls are important to get more Ninpo. They're not as important because the Ninpo powers kind of suck, but we actually do wind up using a lot of Ninpo on the final boss. Most of the other bosses, we just don't care how much Ninpo we have, though. And a lot of the bosses, we don't actually care how many clones we have, either. Alright. So you're going to notice that I was, like, walking to the left for some reason. In this game, getting pushed by the wind and stuff like that will actually affect your position inside the screen. Like, it affects your position, but it also affects where Ryu is in relation to the center of the screen, and that can cause big problems if you're not centered. So there's a couple places where you just want to do something to mitigate that. All right, here we're gonna do the Alright, and then we want to get on the wall because the wind can blow you into the wall and then you'll clip into the wall and fall off the stage and die. So as long as you're hanging onto the wall, you're going to be safe there. Alright, this is 3-1. It runs at about 3 frames per second faster than the rest of the game, which definitely doesn't cause any problems at all for speedrunning it. Yeah, it's definitely super good. You also can't see anything, so that's another, you know... We can do this top route here because you can just jump way higher in this game than you can in the NES version. We're going to wait for those bats because even though we're in the Invincible Firewheel, the Invincible Firewheel is actually way less invincible than it is in the NES version. Which, I mean, it's just not very invincible at all. So, you know, watch out for that. That was a pretty good 3-1. Here we're in 3-2. This stage is also pretty similar to the NES version. All of the level design is the same. It's just like you jump twice as high and half as far. So like we barely made that jump. You can actually fail it if you jump 1 frame too early. So don't jump 1 frame too early, I guess, is the advice that I would give. All right, here we're gonna line up. Oh no. Well, that sucks. That's a product of how the screen was scrolled. If the screen is scrolled a little bit less far, then the gun guy isn't on screen. And then you can see that getting hit here is actually moving the screen. But, yeah. But normally that's a frame perfect jump anyways, so we just, you know. Alright, we have to deal... Normally your clone would kill other knife guy, but... Alright, there's some Roadrunner time causing us not to be able to jump. Basically, if you're leaving a platform on the same frame that you try to jump off of it, you will just fall off. And it's very, you know, fun to deal with. Ooh, okay. Alright. We need to get 2 clones for the boss track coming up, so we're just gonna play it cool. Get this health pickup. Get this thing. There's fire stuck around for some reason. Normally the fire... Oh, I'm having a really hard time. Come on. What the heck? Okay. Good video game. Alright, you want to run along here, and then, yeah, this position is good. This boss setup is pretty challenging to get. If you don't run on the platform all the way across, then you wind up in a different spot, and it's just really bad. But we got it. You can pick up the fire to be a little bit safer, because the fire shoots up, so if you miss the setup, you can still hit the boss. Alright, we're going to do some frame perfect jumping here. There's some visual cues, once again, for where to jump, so that it's not... I mean, it is a 10 FPS game, so it's not that challenging to hit these frame perfect jumps. It's just we don't want to do it when it's like there's 40 seconds to lose if you fail it. Alright, we're going to jump up here to spawn the bat high. Bats in this game spawn at a location. Basically, there's an X location that they spawn at. And you go, they spawn at the Y position of the player when they touch a specific spot. So you can manipulate where they spawn, and there's a couple times in the run where we do that. Alright, we're gonna go in between these things. Alright, here's a place where we want to get, basically there's 3 acceleration frames until you're at the maximum speed. Oh no. Shoot. Well. The backup, if you don't get the P-speed, is not that easy, so we're going to try to get it as much as possible. These platforms, there's only 2 positions you can stand on, so there's like basically 3 frames of acceleration. There's like 1 frame where you're at the original position, but in a different spot. And it's complicated. Okay, there you want to stand on the left pixel, because if you're on the right pixel, you'll just die. So good luck not dying. Alright, we made it through though. That's one of the harder stages in the game. Oh no. There's a nice jumping route through this water, but if you mess it up, it's really bad. Alright, you may not believe me, but that's actually the fastest way that I know of to get through that part. Just waiting for the slime to shoot something at you. Alright. Here's a jump that's impossible, unless you slash hover. So I've been doing this thing where I'm like slashing backwards, and the game doesn't cause you to, like, if you're standing somewhere and you do it, gravity goes away. Unless you do another input. So that jump you actually cannot do unless you take an intentional death. My screen scroll is still not that good. Okay. Oh. Oh, come on. Alright, this is a very specific strat, so I just want to line up and then shoot the fire at the guy. Alright, we're going to do one more slash hover there. Most of the time these slash hovers are done to avoid tricks, like jumps that would otherwise be frame perfect. And that's a case where, you know, normally... Oh, my health situation is really bad. Alright, we made it through though. What is he after? This is one of the easier stages in the game. There's some tech and you have to be a little bit careful of your health. We're going to do a deboost there. Deboosts in this game depend on what direction you are facing, which is a little bit different from how they work in the NES version. I'm going to do a little bit of screen fixing. You want to be kind of scrolled far to the right, but not as far to the right as you can be. This is a very complicated stage, basically. Yeah, okay. So if you're scrolled to the right like that, then you'll just like clip through the wall for free. If you're too far to the left, you won't go through. If you're too far to the right, then it'll be bad. So don't be too far to the right. If you're too far to the right, you can get like enemies that spawn multiple times, even if it's one enemy. Anyway. Here's 5-2. This is Jorf's favorite stage in the NES version. I don't think Jorf has played this version, so I don't know what his favorite stage in this version would be. We're going to do a slash there to despawn the bat. In this version, when you slash on the ice, as long as you're at a certain speed, you'll like get boosted forward. Oh no. Normally that bat will hit you onto the wall. That's like one of the most consistent ways to get onto the wall. Part of the, like, one of the main issues with this stage is that because the ice starts slow and goes fast, you can actually wind up on different pixel positions within tiles, and that causes all kinds of problems. Oh no. Okay, we survived somehow. Okay. The main problem that causes is that your sometimes there's like a frame perfect jump at the edge of a platform that you actually can't make because you're in the wrong pixel position. Like you don't actually ever get a frame that you can jump it. And we do that deboost off that guy to avoid exactly such a jump, where otherwise you'd have to set up on a specific pixel to always be able to get the jump. So, alright, and here we're going to do basically the same thing. This would be a series of or frame perfect, well, yeah, frame perfect and pixel perfect jumps, I guess you could say. And we're just going to skip it by doing a bunch of slash hovers. And it is slower, but Not that much slower. It's like 7 seconds or something, which sounds huge if you play the NES version of this game, but trust me, the world record for this game is not that optimized. Alright, here's Ashtar. Oh gosh. Ashtar decided to give us a weird pattern. Basically, you want to get your clone on top of Ashtar and then just spam slash. He'll move around and like sometimes he'll go to different weird spots and but yeah. Well, mostly it's a fine boss fight, and if you do lose time, you're going to lose like 4 seconds by having an extra cycle. Alright, here's 6-1. This is a relatively chill stage with one moment of like absolute terror. You have to wait there a little bit for that bat. You have to press down while you're going into the hole, otherwise you die. And have like a certain amount of speed. I don't know, it's really inconsistent and bad. Alright, coming up we're going to do a bat boost. Basically, if these bats here will spawn infinitely unless you do this. And this is not a good setup already, but it'll still work. Okay. It seems like you should be able to jump over those guys, but it doesn't go well if you do, so just don't. Alright, knife guy jumps out of the way, and okay. Sorry, I hit a wrong button on my... I was trying to split. Okay. That's another one of those like frame perfect jump over the guy strats that doesn't... Alright, we're gonna jump through those guys. Oh my gosh, we actually need this Ninja power. This is like the one time in the game where Ninja power is irrelevant. Or is relevant, rather. Here in this boss fight, we want to have this specific Shuriken Ninja power. I shouldn't say the one time in the game. There's a couple other times, but the reason why Ninja power use is so limited in this game is that the Ninja powers kind of just suck. They're very hard to use. Ryu will sometimes not stop slashing to like actually use the Ninja power. And then there's a separate issue, which is like you can't deal damage to bosses from your clones and your main guy at the same time. So it doesn't increase your damage output to use Ninja powers. Alright, we're just gonna wait for this bird. If you're lucky, you can avoid it, but... Oh my gosh. So mostly Ninja powers are just not usable. Invincible Firewheel is something that gets used a ton in the NES version, but is basically just completely worthless in this version unless you have a specific setup for it, because it's not invincible. So, and sometimes it doesn't kill enemies. So like, it basically, you can and will get hit during it, and it doesn't help you kill enemies. So it's just, yeah. Yeah. When I was playing this game casually, there were a bunch of times where I was like, oh, I have Invincible Firewheel, I can get through there. And then it's like, well, actually you can't. And you die because the enemy just like boosts you into a pit or something. Alright, here's 7-2. We don't have the right input power somehow, but we got the frame perfect jump, so it's fine. Oh my gosh. Okay. This stage is mostly fine, but if you die in this stage, you die in real life, so you have to be careful. I just didn't slash there for some reason. I don't know why. That thing spawns infinitely. Don't ask me. Don't ask any questions about what's going on in this game. This game is fine. Don't worry about it. Alright. That was a bad jump. So I'm just gonna kill this crescent guy, I guess, and then try again. Oh no. Oh no. Okay. Well. Second bad jump. All right. Okay, so it's early enough in the stage that we don't lose all of our orbs if we take an intentional death. So it's actually faster to take an intentional death and just redo this part of the stage. Because we really need to have 2 clones and full health to do the final boss fight consistently. So we're just gonna retry that and hope that this time we manage to do better. Oh, that was really dangerous. I don't know why I went for that so late, but you have a 2-frame window to do this jump. Normally I try to do it on the first frame because obviously doing it on the last frame is really dangerous, but sometimes that means I go early. And that hit is not relevant. Basically, if you die at any point after that, you lose all the orbs in this screen, which means you can't get that health pickup. You can't get the health pickup in this screen. And you can't get the clone in this screen. Which makes it really, really, really bad. So instead, we took an intentional death early when we lost our clones. And it's kind of a shame that we had to do that, but... Alright, here we're just going ham with the Shuriken, which is the best Ninja power. Okay. This guy's hitbox is really odd, but as long as you don't take too much damage on this fight, it's mostly fine. These other fights, I wouldn't call them free, but they're pretty easy. Alright, we got a good altar setup. That was a very good fight. These fights, it's very important to have clones because you don't want to be close to the boss that you're fighting. They just deal a ton of damage. So instead, we're going to set up. So we're going to walk 2 squares forward, crouch here, wait for the claw, and then walk all the way over here, and then just spam slash. And his bottom claw can't actually reach you over here, and the top claw is too slow. Oh, we got hit. Normally you'd like run under here and then crouch, but... Alright, and then here we're going to turn backwards and then just like... spam slash. Easy fight. And time. So time is when the screen goes dark. Normally in the NES version, there'd be like a really insanely epic cutscene here. This is what you get in the DOS version. This is your reward. It gets me every time. Makes me tear up. What an amazing cutscene. Anyway, this is the NES version of Ninja Gaiden 2. It's really not very good as a game or as a speedrun. I would highly recommend speedrunning the NES version. That said, there is some neat tech in this game, and that's unique to this game. And I think most speed games, even if they kind of suck, always have something cool that there is to show off. The darkness is gone. Also, we get this beautiful art of Ryu wearing the orange clothing. Can you believe how beautiful our world is? Look at this sunset. It's so amazing. Normally in the NES version of the game, there'd be like an entire credit sequence with like, you know, all kinds of cool music and like scenes from the game and all kinds of cool stuff. But in this version of the game, it plays this song for a little bit and then spits you back out onto the command line. Good game. It's a DOS game, so, you know, Anyway, yeah, that's it. Bye.